Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What is an eponym? A person after whom a discovery, invention, or place is named or thought to be named. There are very few eponyms in the hunting industry. A product so popular and so functional, it becomes the act of the product. So how does something become an eponym? It's the best, hands down.
And tonight's episode is brought to you by Tagged and Bagged. They specialize in pre-taxidermy packaging for waterfowl. Their mission is to provide hunters with the highest quality packaging products to ensure preservation of a hunter's prized trophy. Tagged and Bagged products are made with the best materials and are designed to withstand the toughest hunting conditions. Taggedandbagged.net. And of course, Bucket Ready offers premium food plot seed mixtures for the best results when attracting wildlife to your property. Knowing what deer prefer, when they prefer it, and putting the best seed together for deer in your special hunting spot is what Bucket Ready Performance Food Plot Seed Mixtures is all about. BucketReady.com. And now, coming live from the Midwest Racks and Rod studio, it is the Outdoor Show with your host. He's no Scottie Pippen, but he be Scottie Pippen, Scott Biskobing, with your producer, Drew, everybody's hot potato, Biskobing, with special in-studio guests from Chase Nation, Sam Ubl.
There it is.
Oh, it's good to be back, baby.
There it is.
And I'll go ahead and put myself on mute.
How does it feel to be back behind the camera?
Behind the camera, tickling the ivories again. It feels very good. Very good. It's like magic.
You are a magical beast, my friend.
Yeah. Ask any one of my ex-wives. I'll tell you the same thing.
It is the Outdoor Show. A little crooked there, and that's the way we roll here. But welcome everybody back to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. We've been kind of a little bit on hiatus. We've been mixing some shows in here and there, and I've been trying to get some content out there for you guys. It's summertime in Wisconsin here, and it's crazy. An absolutely crazy time of year. We are less than 2 months away from the opening of archery season everywhere. You know, I mean, even those of you starting in October, it's coming up really quick, and even quicker for us here in Wisconsin. So, but with that said, I want to welcome Sam Ubl back to the studio. It's been a long time.
It has been. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I think you were our first in-studio guest back in the day, back in Studio 1. Now we're in Studio 3.
Yeah. I don't, that was down in the basement.
Right? Yeah, that was at my former co-host Chris DeMolly's basement. Yeah.
Ma's basement, yep.
Yeah.
And we had Mom's basement, and then pretty soon we're coming up on Midwest Racks and Rods, the Ocho, because we're already at 3. So it just keeps going.
Right. Well, hopefully we stick around here for a while. We're closing in on 2 years at this location, and it feels good to be here. We have the space is good, and we don't have to. I don't want to tear shit down again.
No, man, this is a good spot. If you could stick around here, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. It works for us. So, and we're always, we've got some different ideas. We're going to bring in some more cameras and things like that. So kind of always looking to up the game here a little bit, but
It'd be nice, like, we get one set up behind there, so it's looking out at what you guys see, which is all of our lovely fans on this side over here.
right, the studio audience
Right.
there, that was just
The
applauding
studio
there.
audience.
Like, hey, how's everybody doing there?
All right, keep it going.
You're almost as bad as Luke right there. Are you going to start with an air horn next year too? Like, good grief.
Don't tempt me with a good time. All right.
But anyways, yeah, I reached out to Sam here like a week or so ago, and I mean, obviously we've kept in touch here and there over the years since you've been on the show, and we've always had a good rapport. And I thought, it's time to get Sam back on. There's a lot of stuff going on with you, a lot of stuff going on with Chase Nation and that, and I thought this would be a good time for us to catch up.
Yeah,
and,
man, it's been a really busy off season. We always preach that there is no off season, but
Right.
there is, and it hasn't really felt like much of that because I've been so balls to the walls with editing. I mean, we're already spitting out weekly episodes right now, and I'm not even done editing. I still got 5 episodes to go.
Wow.
So, it's like nose to the grindstone. It's like those nights where I want to take it easy and just not worry about editing. Yeah,
Right.
Sometimes you get burnout pretty quick if you spend too many nights staying up late and you get up early to go to work and you're just tired.
Right.
Right. And so sometimes you want to take a night off. One night turns into 2, turns into 3. And then before you know it, the season of unleashing our new episodes is upon us. And I get behind. And that's what I'm up against right now. I've got one more episode before I literally have to crank them out by the week, almost like real time or like semi-live. Mm-hmm. And it's not supposed to be like that. I'm supposed to be done with editing everything by now.
And you're still so you're still in the editing process of some of these.
In fact, I was up this morning at 6 a.m. editing, on a Sunday morning.
Well, now you're making me feel bad that you drove all the way up here.
Oh, no, I needed a
do
break.
this show.
Before I came out here, I had finished up one of the episodes. I started editing another one, Colorado elk hunt. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I turned around and told my girl, I was like, hey, man, I'm burnt out on editing. I just can't be creative right now.
Sure.
It's for me, my most creative time is either right away in the morning, like when I'm fresh, or it's late when everybody goes to bed.
Yeah.
If I got the kids over, I'll put them to bed. I'll go tuck in my old lady, and then I'll sit down and I'll crank something out for a few hours till like midnight or 1, and then when my head starts bobbing, that's when I got to get to bed. And it's right up at 5:30 or 6 the next day. Go to work, come back, take care of everybody, put them to bed, right back to the editing.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, when I'm trying to do anything or work in here, it's either got to be I got to drive over here immediately when I get up in the morning, or I'm gonna be just staying here late at night working on things. It's for whatever reason throughout the rest of the day, it's like my mind is too busy with everything else.
Sure.
In life.
Yeah.
Family, kids, things like that. Like it's it's tough.
And like YouTube has been, we were just touching on this before we started recording, but YouTube is a bear, man. It is really, really hard. Some people catch a break early on, and there's it's hard to say what the rhyme and reason is for why some people catch a break without putting in a whole lot of effort, considering the amount that I know I've poured in over the last 9 years. I've seen some guys that, their video might go semi-viral, get 150, 200,000 views in the first couple of weeks, and it's not even edited. There might not even be a kill in it, and it's all GoPro footage. So I start to think, like, all this effort that we put into this game that we're putting ourselves into, is it what is the value, or what is the value back? And I don't mean that in a way like, well, I'm burning out and I don't want to do this anymore. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm kind of in that spot where there's this quiet period. I've read a lot of articles about people that go through the struggles with YouTube, and the way that algorithm works. And a lot of people, your videos aren't getting enough views, and it's easy to blame the algorithm, right? But an algorithm is just that. It's not a person. It doesn't have an opinion. So it doesn't make decisions, right? Well, it does, but it's calculations.
Right.
What I've learned is that YouTube will actually take some of these newer, smaller channels like ours. They'll take a small sample size of let's just say people, and they'll broadcast our video that we just published into their newsfeed as the recommended watch. And then YouTube measures how many of those people that sample set actually click on your thumbnail. And then once they do that, they measure the retention rate. And if you're not hitting the mark, where people aren't watching, like, say, 50% of your video, and you're not hitting like 25% CTR, click-through rate, they probably aren't going to send you to the second sample size. And so you'll have a video that just is stale. Like a lot of our turkey videos, I put a lot of effort into editing them. And I just started looking at it like, man, I know some guys really love watching turkey videos, but I don't know if it makes sense for us to produce a turkey video unless something really special happens, until our channel climbs high enough in the rankings that YouTube promotes it. Otherwise it just is stagnant. And that's just a matter of fact. So that's kind of one of those things that also messes with my head when I'm up late editing, and I'm killing myself here trying to crank out quality content. We pour blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that we're filming to the upper echelon of what we're capable of doing. Mm-hmm. We're investing thousands of dollars into our camera equipment and our audio, editing equipment, licenses for music, and all of that. And sometimes you go through this stage where you're not really sure, is this really worth it? Yeah, I started Chase Nation with Brad years ago. This is our 10th year filming now. And our idea was, this is a passion project. We don't want sponsors. We just want to do this because we love it, right? And then we want to share those experiences with people and let people get to experience what we go and do, not because we want to get that clout, but because we want people that don't have the opportunity to get outside to witness what it's all about. And that meant something to us. And not only that, but also to preserve some of those memories, and showcase them, long after we're gone, they'll still be out there. The reality is that, and I know I'm kind of going off on the deep end, but this has been on my mind a lot lately. So you kind of giving me a platform to think out loud, right?
Share it up.
But it's like, we started this Chase Nation when we didn't have all the priorities and obligations that we have today as parents, as homeowners, careers, all of those obligations. So a passion project was initially on our own time. We didn't have to worry about a schedule. We didn't have to worry about anything. We had nobody to answer to. However, the amount of time and energy was not much different that we're investing in back then that we're doing now. And so there comes a point where it's like, okay, if we're going to continue down this path, this road, maybe we should open up to partnerships, right? And a partnership isn't a sponsorship by any means. It's not, I've never, in all of the years that I've been doing this, I've never had a company reach out and say, we want to give you X amount of money just because we love what you're doing and we want to keep doing it. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Partnership.
They want something in return.
Yeah, obviously. You've got it. So people, I see this stuff all the time on Facebook and Instagram, and the negativity around streamers or people that are in media production in the outdoor industry. And a lot of it is negative energy about how, remember when hunting used to be hunting and it wasn't about sponsorships or promoting,
selling
and
out,
advertising and being a sellout. And it's like, well, there's this crossroad that you need to understand. And that is that we as individuals didn't change. We just need to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's in relation to the partnership agreements that we have that allow us the opportunity to continue to produce content. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to keep doing this. I just wouldn't. There's no justification for me not getting good sleep at night anymore, or being more present with my children because I'm off doing something like this without something in return. I just couldn't justify that, not only to myself, but even, to my kids, or right, to my girl at home. It's just like there is some give and take. And that's just been weighing on my mind lately. And sometimes when you get to that burnout stage after editing for months, so it's been like 4.5, 5 months since I started editing for this season. It just, now I'm starting to, it's wearing on me, and I'm just ready to be done editing so I can get to filming the stuff that I like. I'm passionate about editing, but I sure as heck love filming. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to just leave my computer alone for a few months and just go outside. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you ever, kind of going along with what you're talking about there, but you just said, like, you still really enjoy the filming part of it and that, mm-hmm, but do you ever just kind of just miss being just a hunter?
All the time.
And that, and like, why am I doing these things? And putting pressure on yourself to maybe, you're maybe passing on a buck that normally you wouldn't, because, hey, I got to put out some good content here. People, because at the end of the day, like, yes, we can talk this game all we want about. People want to see real, right? Real hunters want to see real hunting. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they also want to see big bucks being killed, or certain caliber anyways. You know what I mean? They don't want to see little basket 8-pointers.
15 years ago, you didn't have unlimited YouTube channels related to the outdoors. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like that 15 years ago.
Right. It wasn't long ago.
And that means less than that ago, you could put out a 125-inch deer, a video, and people would click on it and watch it because, hey, that's awesome. You actually you killed something on film. Mm-hmm. I want to see that. It wasn't long ago. I think it was last year I was on a hunt. We were leasing some ground in Illinois, down in Morgan County. And I was down there with Matt Hosel. And I don't remember how it came up, but Matt said something to me while we were getting dressed that morning before we went out. It was something to the effect of, all right, kind of a hype, kind of like a speech before you go out hunting. Yeah. We don't want to shoot anything small, right? Because nobody's going to watch that. And I remember I was like pulling on my boot, facing away from him, and it just struck me. And I don't think we talked about it. We just went out and did our thing. But it did occur to me in that moment that he's right. People don't want to click on does. They see a kid. They don't want to watch that. Family and friends do. Mm-hmm. But the numbers don't lie. Right. And if you shoot a buck and you don't make it look really big, I'll tell you what, get a GoPro and you can make 120 look like a 150, right? They just
sweet. I got to get a new GoPro then.
And so like a lot of these clicks, I think on YouTube, for example, are really because I've watched a lot of those videos and that aren't ours, and they're not as big as they looked in the thumbnail. And it's like, okay, creativity. Clickbaity, yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's just the nature of it. People listen. There are unlimited videos now, hunting videos to watch on YouTube. I see guys talk like on Facebook or Instagram saying like, I've watched all of the content that's out there. Does anybody have any recommendations? And it's like, no, you haven't. There's so many videos. Right. My point in bringing that up is
you've seen everything that the algorithm has shown you, but a simple search of something else is going to reset that algorithm basically for you, and you're going to be opened up to what guys are doing, down south or.
But why are you going to click on it if it's not a huge buck? People just don't get excited anymore about it. This is becoming an entertainment industry now. It's not what it once was a short time ago when things started happening with media production in the outdoor industry.
Yeah.
Where all these big name shows that were on the outdoor channel are suddenly pissed off at all of these YouTube guys and big names in the industry who've left cable and gone to streaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because that's where they made their money. Their sponsorships, their partnership agreements to pay for their airtime and also pay their grocery bill. I don't do this for money. We don't make enough money. We hardly make enough. In fact, I'm paying more money than we make just to keep Chase Nation alive. And it's been like that from the beginning. So in a sense, it's always been a passion project because I continue to pay to keep this thing alive.
Yeah.
But I guess, and I don't want to get off track here, but that comment you made before about the size of the buck, it really does matter. Mm-hmm. It does. And so there's all this pressure that we feel. And that question you asked, do you ever feel like this, that you're putting more pressure on yourself now than you did before? Hell yeah. And unfortunately, that comes with the territory. And so sometimes I look at it like, man, yeah, I do miss not carrying a camera in the woods. I'll tell you what, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Bangs on stuff. It gets noisy. It's really expensive. We're hunting in the elements. There's opportunity for your gear to explode, to get broken, to get, water damage, all kinds of stuff, right? And yet I keep doing it. And I think the minute that I find myself not battling this, I'm just burnt out because I've been doing it so much. I know that I have a rest period. But the minute that I realize that it's like, you know what, I just don't want to do that anymore, I'm going to stop. And I know that time will come. And I'm looking at everybody's kids growing up, part of Chase Nation, and I'm like, how old's your boy? Are these guys ready to start filming and editing? Because I don't want Chase Nation to ever die.
Sure.
But I don't know how many more years I will continue to devote all of myself into it. I had a marriage blow up, and one of the reasons for my first marriage was as it was put to me, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it was largely accredited to the time that I devote to the outdoors, especially with Chase Nation. That's the reality of it. I'm still a good person. I'm still a guy that'll sit down next to anybody and congratulate you on any size deer that you shoot. Or if you miss, I'm not going to judge you. Ordinary guy, right? But internally, I do put pressure on myself to create or produce some level of content to share the following year. Yeah. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go break the law like we've seen the headlines over the last few years. I'm never going to stoop to that level. It's not that critical, right? It's just not. But innately, this comes with the territory, putting pressure on yourself. You got to create. If you don't have content, then what are you doing?
Right. I mean, and I feel like in a lot of these cases, some of these offenders in that, they're good people, but maybe they just succumb to the pressure, like the pressure to kill this buck or that buck or X amount, to put a show together. It's crazy.
So is this big buck craze. If it wasn't for social media, who the hell would be out here judging everybody?
Right.
It just doesn't add up. I mean, it wasn't like that when I was growing up.
No.
My dad still thinks a big buck has a big body.
Yeah.
Every time he shoots a buck, I'm like, how big is he, Dad? Oh, he's great big. How big? I don't know. He's got to be 200 pounds. I'm like, oh, no. How many points? Oh, I don't know. 7. He doesn't care. No. That was how it was. And we used to pull the trigger on a deer when it came around the bend and you saw it for the first time and it made your heart tick. And you're like, okay, that's the one. You have no idea. You're not running trail cameras. You don't know what else is out there. Yeah. But this is a bigger deer than you're used to seeing. And you don't know that you're ready to let it walk away. So you shoot it, and then you're happy with it. Gone are those days, man. It's just, they're gone. And social media is largely to blame. Not the influencers, not the content creators. Social media is the platform that gave everybody leverage to be an influencer.
And I think that it crosses all different sorts of genres. It's not just in the hunting. I mean, think about how social media has affected young girls and things like that with filters, and
It's gross,
and it really is. And the hunting industry is just a small sample of how much social media has really warped our minds and given this kind of false sense of what's real.
Yeah.
In that, like that there's this pedestal that you have to be on in that. I will say, I mean, at least here with us in that, like, because we joke around all the time. Like, we are who we are, and we enjoy what we kill. We do what we do. But that doesn't mean that I don't still pass up on bucks.
Or that there isn't pressure.
That you still do feel that pressure.
It's crazy.
Maybe not to the level of somebody producing a show like you, but like
definitely not. And I just want, when you were starting to bring up the social media side to it, for someone like myself that's a very average hunter, I get so intimidated just by looking at these videos. And I mean, the biggest buck I've ever shot is right next to you on that table there. Proud as hell of that deer, and I guarantee you a good portion of the people that I know or that has even been on this show, there's no way they would even look at that, as a viable buck to shoot. But it did have a big body. I think your dad would have been proud of it. It had a real nice body.
It did have a big body. I do remember that thing. It was a pain in the ass to drag out.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's kind of gone in that direction. I don't feel responsible at all for it.
Nor should you.
And I'll never take credit in that negativity. I think it's deplorable. I don't have any time for it. I'm 42 years old now. I started doing this stuff when I was in my 20s. Grown up a lot. I will say, over the years, and then going through divorce, having a couple of some super serious medical situations happening while hunting over the last few years.
And we're definitely going to get into that, but probably after intermission and that for sure.
But I've done a lot of soul searching and a lot of growing up. And, I think I'll probably always be growing up and maturing. No matter where I'm at, I'll always try to improve myself year after year, day after day. But, early on, there was a lot of interest in becoming a micro influencer in the outdoor space. My dad and my mom were divorced when I was a year and a half old. I got to spend every other weekend with them, so 2 weekends a month. And every time he'd pick me up, we would drive out either to go camping, hunting, or fishing. But that's all we did. And my dad would ask me, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said the same answer every time. I want to be a professional fisherman, or I want to be a professional hunter. Back then I loved Roland Martin or Orlando Wilson, like the bass guys, and I don't even fish bass. I did, right? I went through that phase. I'm a musky guy now.
Yep.
But the point is that's what I wanted to be. It was second grade, and we had just started the school year. The teacher was letting everybody introduce themselves, and I remember we were going up and down single file, like up the desks, right, starting from right to left, and I was the second to last column of desks on the far side. So I got to listen to all the ideas of what people wanted to be when they grew up. We're talking second graders, doctors, lawyers, hairstylists, you name it.
Right, police officer.
When it got to me, I said what I always said. I want to be a professional hunter and fisherman. And the teacher, some of the kids chuckled, and my teacher just looked at me. And I remember her asking more questions to all the other students. And she just looked at me with a smile, and she's like, okay, next. And I was overlooked. And I remember thinking, like, what the hell was that? And I told my dad about that, and he said, And I think at this point, I think my dad didn't see it as a possibility, you know. So he said, you know, if you really love fishing and hunting that much, you could be a fireman. Think about it. 3 days on, or is it 2 days on, 3 days off, something like that.
Sure.
You have all the time in the world, make a decent wage. Well, you could ask any fireman these days if they make a decent wage, and they'll tell you they should probably be paid more, and they should.
Right. Yep.
But that's kind of the way that I grew up. So when I was in my 20s, I started writing. I've always been a writer of sorts, but I started writing for magazines. These are print magazines, you know, like Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, Muskie Hunter magazine. And the reason was because not only did I look at writing as an outlet, but I also looked at it as a doorway to get into that industry. And it worked. I ended up picking up jobs writing for Legendary Whitetails. I got a job as a managing editor of Outdoors First Media, and I ran their Whitetail First website for 3 years. That opened doors to people that were making livings in the industry, like Whitetailer and some of the other, like some companies that sell, you know, either scent products or camouflage and that kind of thing. And it was around that time when I wrote an article, Strictly Public, Strictly from the Ground. And it was based on my upbringing, because we didn't have enough money to buy tree stands, and they weren't very expensive, but there was no money for that. So my dad and I hunted public land all the time, and we hunted from the ground all the time.
Yeah.
So what some guys today look at like, wow, like I've never shot one from the ground, and that's probably largely because of what we see on TV and in the advertisements are you should get up in a tree stand, right? Or a saddle. But the guys that really grew up with it, like me and so many others that are listening to this right now, wiping some leaves off the base of a tree and then making a lane, 4 or 5 feet long in case you need to creep along with the deer because you can't get an angle around a tree was common.
Yeah.
And that's how I hunted. And, that article reached Jared Scheffler from Whitetail Adrenaline, and he reached back out to me, and he thanked me for bringing him up because I mentioned them and their kind of warrior style tactics, and that's how that friendship sparked. Well, I got to go hunt with him. I got to hunt with Brad on Wisconsin Whitetail Pursuit, and now all of a sudden, people are finding out about who I am, and I'm getting my foot in the door into what I always dreamed I would do, be a hunter or fisherman professionally, right? Get a following, kind of become a micro-influencer to a degree, and I'm getting paid. Not enough to like pay my mortgage or my rent, but I'm getting paid enough to pay for everything that I love to do. And with that term clout, is real. Like with that became like not a, I personally, and we're always going to say this about ourselves, like I don't think I got a big head, but some would say that I probably did. And I guess if I really reached down deep, there was a part of me that probably did get somewhat of a big head about it. Like when I walk into a place and I start talking to a guy about deer hunting, he's going to know right away that I don't just talk. I walked it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I did, and I do. But it was that mentality that was like, man, what is that? That's not normal. Now it's different. Now I walk in and you want to talk about deer hunting? Cool, let's talk about deer hunting. I don't care what level you're at. We don't need to get deep. If you want to, we can, but we'll keep it kosher. We're not going to be like, oh, well, you should do this, And I think it's too easy these days when you start telling somebody a story about an experience you had, rather than actually listening to what you're telling, they're sitting there thinking about what they're going to say next. And so they're not really receiving anything you're saying. And I feel like the conversations are just doing this. And it's like an argument. Yeah. And when you raise your voice to somebody, they're not listening to you because you're yelling at them. They're just thinking about what they're going to say back as a rebuttal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And now it's like, I don't know. I look at that time of my life where I was getting to where I had so long strived to get to. And I don't think I was mature enough at that time to appreciate it and to harness it and to let it serve me the best way that it was meant to serve me. And now, where my level of maturity is now, I wish that I could go back in time and maybe I would do some things different, and maybe I'd still have some relationships that maybe didn't go sour, but just there wasn't enough strength in that relationship to keep the friendship alive.
Sure.
Over time. I look back on those things and I think about it a lot more so these days than I even gave it a night to think about it back then.
I think that speaks volumes of your maturity in that, to be able to go back and recognize those things, right? To analyze yourself and realize, hey, I haven't always been perfect here, or there, or like I wish, I knew now or knew then what I know now about certain things. But that's just human natural. I mean, I think every single person goes through that at some point. And it's just for you to even just say, like, I'm always maturing, always growing, always, that's the way it should be. I think about that with myself too all the time, on a different level in that. But I'm like, and, the way I thought about things previously, I probably looked at them in, not in an immature way, but not the way I look at them now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even some of those relationships with people, like you said, where that could have been a far more meaningful relationship. Yeah. But on not having the ability in that moment to recognize that,
and the other thing is, like, with you doing a podcast, for example, mm-hmm. I don't know that I could do it now, but I couldn't have done it back then, I don't think. And I was going to say I don't know if I could have. I think the answer is I don't think I really, truly don't believe that I would have been much good at being a host of a podcast. And the reason is because I think this is pretty innate in most people, but especially true, I've come to find out, in the outdoor world, when you're talking to people that on the street, you see them passing by, you have no idea you have something in common. But the second you find out that you're both hunters, all of a sudden that person's telling you a story and it resonates. And because it's resonating, it makes you want to tell them your story. Yeah. And I don't know that I had the patience back then to appreciate somebody else's story and allow them to just fully tell it without being so excited to share my story that's very similar, where they haven't even finished like their energy that's still they're full of piss and vinegar. They're like, oh, excited, but man, this happened. This was so cool. This deer came out, and it was cresting the hill. It was a perfect silhouette. You should have seen the sun hitting it. It was gorgeous. And as he came in, he gave a shake, and I saw, like, those lines in the fur, those wrinkles, and how you get to the darker tones to the lighter, and they get into all the details, and that's beautiful. And they're painting a picture in your mind, but you're not really there listening, because all you're thinking about is when you saw one crest a hill once that did something similar. And as soon as they're done talking, you want to tell them how, you experienced something very similar. Yeah. And they were expecting, when they were done talking, that you'd be like, wow, that's amazing. So then what?
With follow-up questions and things like that. Yeah, right.
But so as a podcaster, I give you so much credit for harnessing, your own versions of somebody's story that you can relate to, and allowing somebody a platform to tell theirs. Yeah. That to me would have been very hard, because I've been so energetic about sharing my version.
It is still to this day difficult, but that was always like a big thing with us early on. Even that is, I never wanted to be a guy in front of a microphone or a camera or anything like that, giving tips or tricks or tactics and things like that. Like, I just wanted to be a platform to let other people tell their stories and promote themselves. Now, hosting the Hunting Beast with Dan Infalt, and having just recently had like Andy May and Aaron Warburton and Jared Scheffler, and that there's times where, like, I'm listening to the story and I'm like, man, I really want to tell my thing, that kind of relates to that, but having to, like,
harness it,
like, no, this is about them. This is their, and from time to time I'll interject something here or there, but for the most part, it's about letting others share that information. Nobody's on there giving a shit about what I have to say. They
think-
care about what
Well, and I think
what our guests have to say.
as well, being, I've sat there, we've co-hosted together, and I think sometimes you're listening to the story, but you also have all these other things going on, right? Like, how's the sound? How's the lighting?
Yeah.
What's my follow-up question going to be? And then they're like, all of a sudden you get so into it and you're, oh shit, we have a moment of silence here. I need to say something. And then that's where I usually stick my foot in my mouth.
Oh, there's so many times where it's like, I think actually it happened with Andy May, and there was a point where I wanted to say something, but I was so busy because when I'm doing that, I'm producing the show. So I'm like scanning questions and comments and changing scenes and different things, doing all this stuff while I was trying to be engaged in the conversation with Dan and our guest. And it was at one point I was going to ask a question, and I'm like, I had missed so much in that last story that I feel like I'm going to ask a question that he's going to be like, oh, you mean like what I just said like 3 minutes ago? So I'm like, I'm just going to keep it zipped on this one.
You put yourself in a deer camp for a second, or a bar, whatever, and a guy recognizes in you that you've got a passion for hunting too. So he's willing to share details of his experience, or maybe it's a she. I don't want to be sexist or whatever.
2025 here, Sam.
But it's hard to, in that moment, recognize that somebody sees enough in you to share the level of detail that they're going to do. Like, if I'm going to sit and tell you about my 5 most memorable bucks, I'm going to share the details with you because I know that you're capable of receiving everything I'm saying, and you can kind of relive it with me, even though you weren't there. And that is like a pat on the back, because it's recognizing that you're worth, the time to share this experience.
Yeah.
And if we had the ability to process that faster, maybe we wouldn't so quickly jump to start talking and telling our story, right? And just recognize this person is taking time to tell us something. Let's harness that. Dan Infolt's a perfect example. The guy's got years of experiences. He's written a book about all his stories. And with your podcast, he does a lot of listening. Mm-hmm. Like that one you just had my friend Scott Gigliano on here.
Yep.
Right? The dog tracker. And Scott was talking about, and forgive me, Scott, I don't remember what the term is, but it's that whatever they emit from their
from the interdigital gland.
Yeah.
Yep.
That went over my head until 5 minutes later, and Dan's like, you guys, I've been waiting. I wanted to say something, but you guys have been talking, but I'd like to go backwards here. I just want to bring something up. I had a question. And he brought up the interdigital gland. And that's when I was like, all right, Dan spoke up. This is going to be good. And it was. I learned something I didn't know. That deer stomping on the ground, they're emitting that interdigital gland.
Yeah.
That scent.
That's something I learned right then and there too. That was, I grew up, that was like, they're trying to get you to move, they're trying to get
I don't know.
sort of
I don't know what
reaction.
it was.
That's always what, like Scott said, that's kind of
He's throwing a tantrum.
Right.
It's
You're
like,
just
what
mad
is it?
about something, right?
Yeah. And now my whole perspective has changed after listening to that podcast.
Right.
And I talk to Scott all the time, and every conversation lasts an hour. It's just the way it is. And I fished muskies with Scott for many years.
Sure.
And I've always enjoyed listening to his stories, and he's got an engineering mindset. He's not an engineer by trade, right? Mm-hmm. He's in construction and dog tracking now. But the way his mind works, like when you're muskie fishing, every fish that you catch, the nature of the beast when you're a muskie guy is you're excited, you take a picture, you fished for 10 hours for that one fish, and you hold it up for like 10 seconds, and then you let it go and it swims away. And, with other species, a lot of guys just get right back to fishing. With us muskie guys, the majority of us that are real serious about it, we process everything that went into why did that fish eat, right? temperature, water clarity, what bait was I using, what speed was I using it, what was the color of my bait, did that play into factor with the sunlight?
Sure.
You know, all these things. And Scott, every time I'd fish with him, he was always thinking about how he can tweak already existing musky lures or just make his own to work the way he wants them to work. He's very, very, very smart like that. So every time I get in a conversation with Scott, I always turn up my hearing aids. I don't really wear hearing aids, but, I want to listen. I want to catch every word.
Tuning in.
I mean, it comes down to most recently we were on the phone for a really long time, and it was okay. I had stuff to do, but it was okay because he started talking about e-bikes. And he has a really steep hill to climb where he hunts on the western part of the state. And he's telling me how he lets, sorry if I'm giving away one of your secrets. He lets air out of his back tire to get more traction. And I just, there's more to it. And he can tell that next time he's on a podcast. But just listening to how he does things like that, I didn't think about. I just fill up the tires or whatever the PSI requirement is. And I'm like, here we go. Shit, it's a bumpy trail. That sucked. Scott would be like, well, you got to prep for that. You got to let out some air in the back tire, and you want to overfill the front tire so you can absorb shock and blah, 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 blah. And he's got a rhyme and reason for everything. I love listening to him talk. So I cued in really well to that podcast he did because when he gets to talking about blood tracking, you always pick up some nuggets. And then when Dan spoke up about the interdigital, holy smokes, man, that just was like a poof.
I know there's times though I wish Dan would chime in just a little bit more in that, but no, you're exactly right. In fact, I got a message from Scott, I think then the next day. And he's like, we got to do another one.
I got so much more to add.
Oh yeah. It's exactly what it was. I was like, that was 2.5 hours long. I'm like, but he's not the only one. I've had some other dog trackers on this show, and they had Jamie Dom, and I've had Tim Kill and things like that. And these guys are really passionate, and the amount of woodsmanship that translates really well to hunting it's fascinating to listen to these guys. Prior to that show, like a day, I don't know if it was the day before or 2 days before, I was on the phone with Scott, and we were just kind of going over some of the things we're going to talk about. And that was an hour and 20-minute long conversation. I got done talking with him. I was on the phone with Dan. I'm like, buckle up, buddy. This is going to be a long one. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I kind of expected that. And it's great. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, especially for having only been doing it now for like 7 years and that. But to your point of, like the way his mind works, he's just gathering all this information and putting it in place and making all these things work out. So
that's why he was a really good tournament fisherman.
I'd love to talk to him about that too. We always talked about that with you too, that we were just going to do a show talking about muskie fishing and that.
Oh, dude, I can get so deep into the weeds when it comes to muskie fishing. You wouldn't believe it.
I would love to do that. But I think, based on my drinking that, I think let's go ahead and do a quick intermission. We got a lot of other cool things and interesting topics here that we want to discuss here with Sam. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Those of you that have, we're sitting here with Sam Ubl from Chase Nation TV. And we've had a good start of this conversation here. We've been talking about some pretty meaningful stuff here. But I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and let's get into some of the stuff that's going on with Chase Nation and you as well. Which one? I don't know. I guess I'm not sure which one we should dive.
We can dive right in.
Just get right into it. So those of you that follow Chase Nation or Sam, I guess if you're following Sam, you're following Chase Nation. At least you ought to be.
Hope so.
You know that he's had some medical issues here over the last several years now, right?
Yeah, last 3.
And why don't you go into that first?
Yeah.
That first thing, because guys, the reason why I want to bring this up, and Sam's been pretty open about it, even like on your episodes and that. So I think it's an important thing because this is something that could happen to any of us at any time.
Yeah.
And when I saw that episode, it really opened my eyes and made me think about things, about myself. And let's get into it. Why don't we go and talk about that hunt there, that first one?
Well, the first one was in Minnesota. I'll try to tell. I'm a writer, so I get detailed.
Yeah,
so I'm going to try to do the mile high view, so we don't put everybody through the whole thing.
And if they want to see more, I mean, obviously the episodes
are
out there, and we can probably add those into the description.
I'm not proud to say that it's on film, so that's that.
But I think there's benefit though.
Yep, I think that there's the reason that I'm happy to share it is I think there is learning opportunity here that can hopefully give people a peace of mind and maybe contribute to life-saving precautions when going out hunting. So first time that this situation happened, I'll tell you exactly what happened, was 4 years ago.
It's been that long already. Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
Yeah, it was muzzleloader season in Minnesota. And I'd never hunted with an outfitter before. We were working with Vail Camouflage Company.
Right.
And they like to do something with their staff, like all the partners every year. And we were with them for a few years. It was nice to get invited. And I felt a bit weird about doing an outfitted hunt because it's not part of my game. And it's not because I got a big ego about it. It's just I like to be the one in charge of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, it was a pleasure to go and actually be treated for a change. I wasn't used to that. Somebody giving you a stand and saying, this is where you're going to hunt. Okay, let me sit there. Well,
fingers crossed.
It was like the second to last night. We hadn't really seen much the first few days at all, just does and really like little bucks. I'm talking like spikes and broken, it was pretty rough going. I saw a deer on this particular hunt, and I had been up in a tree stand the whole time except for this particular hunt. We were dropped off at 4:30 in the morning. I was given a pin on my OnX, and I was given a few other pins indicating this is the direction of travel. I would be dropped off at a certain location, and then it was about a 1.5 mile hike to get back to where this blind was. Massive, thousands of, I think it was like 1,600 acres. I don't know. It's a huge property. Never been there before. No idea where it is. I just knew in the morning we were going to wake up, get in the outfitter's truck. He's going to drive us there, drop us off. I pull up my phone, follow the trail. Easy peasy, I can do that. Right? I got a headlamp. I got to my blind well before daylight, got situated. I hunted all day, didn't have a ton of water. For some reason, I was at that stage, and this is only a few years ago in my life, where I thought energy drinks are really important to me too. So those dehydrate you. Mm-hmm. So I drank not a little, but a big Red Bull in the morning before sunup. I had another one in my pocket. I had the outfitter prepped us with a lunch. There was a sandwich in there, and then there's a couple little candy bars, and then like a granola bar. And then I had a big bottle of water in my camera bag. That was to last me all day. I saw one fawn like 11 o'clock that day. And then nothing until the last 45 minutes of daylight shooting hours. I saw a nice buck. And talk about pressure, putting pressure on yourself when you're filming. I was thinking, man, we got one more day left. I got to make something happen. They had size requirements, like it's got to be 130 or up or whatever. This one was not 130, but he was close. And that was the only thing I saw that was more than 20 inches the whole time. Of course, I'm fired up. I end up making the shot, get everything on film. I turned the camera around, and it was 15, 20 seconds into doing my exit interview. Spun
not
out.
to interrupt, but you actually like had to do it with your phone too, right?
Yeah, my camera battery. So
it was really cold.
yeah, it was really cold, but that's not why my camera battery died.
Okay, all right.
So literally that night, so the night before when I plugged it in, I plugged it into an outlet that apparently wasn't working because you had to flip a light switch for that outlet to work.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. And I didn't check my camera to see if the LED light was on. So I just assumed it was charging. Mm-hmm. So I go out there and battery has got like 6%. So I did an intro interview, right? And I used it a little bit for some B-roll throughout the day. But by the time that deer came out, the camera was good as dead. I used my shotgun mic that was mounted above my camera, and I had a 70 to 200 lens on there. So it's a little bit longer lens with the lens hood. And my phone, my iPhone was bigger than this. It was like the plus size or whatever.
Sure.
And I was able to wedge the shotgun mic over and the lens under so the phone stayed steady. And I used that to film then just to make sure I got everything on camera. So that's what I was filming with. I turned my camera around so my phone camera that was attached to it was recording. And I was 20 seconds into talking. And everything started moving right, but my body naturally wanted to go left. And my pupils got dilated, and I tried reaching for my phone to just stop and try to figure out what was going on, and then I fainted, and I went down. It was an awful, awful thing to wake up to because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I remember laying on my back looking through the windows, and it was like blue sky, like it was almost dark, and all you could see were some branches from the trees through the window. And it was like those pencil sketches or pen sketches where they do like slanted lines.
Yeah.
Nothing, there was no straight edges to anything. I realized I was having vertigo, pretty severe, and I needed to get out of there. I had a 1.5 mile walk back. I had to cross 2 streams or small rivers, like trout streams. They're shallow. It was not too bad in order to get to where I needed to rendezvous back at, right? And I knew Steve Jeffrey was going to be waiting for me there as well as the outfitter. I figured Steve probably heard my gunshot, would tell the outfitter. I could play this in my head. They were going to be sitting on that gator drinking a beer, excited to celebrate, and they knew I had a 1.5 mile walk out. So with me shooting a deer, they probably assumed I went and filmed a little exit interview. They weren't going to be expecting me anytime soon. So I'm in a dire emergency situation. I need to get back, and at this point, I don't know what's happening, if maybe I'm having a stroke. So I decide, this is a bad decision, to get out of my blind and try walking back. I only got about 9-10 steps, and I bumped into a tree. It hit me in the shoulder. I spun out, went down the riverbank because it was right by a creek, and I rolled right into the water.
And what was the air temperature that day?
It was, I want to say it was 6. Wow. I had fingerless gloves on. I had bigger gloves back in the blind. I tried crawling back. I couldn't find my way. I wasn't going the right direction because I couldn't see where I was going, and now it was dark. So I sat, I reached a tree, and I just put my back against it, and I just sat there trying to open my eyes and like get a visual of where I was. And at one point I saw like the slats of the ladder. So I knew that was the direction I had to go. And as I was crawling, and I'm not even kidding you, I was falling on my shoulders, and I'm crawling like a baby. So you're spinning so bad that you can't even stay on your hands and knees. It's that intense. Once I got there, I used everything I had to like pull myself in, and my fingers were like stone cold. I laid there on my back for a while, just not sure what to do. And I just started screaming like Steve. I started screaming Steve's name. Looking back, if I had like a shotgun or a rifle or something, I would have shot right through the blind. I wouldn't have given a damn.
Yeah.
But it's a muzzle loader, and I couldn't load it. So I couldn't shoot 3 warning shots.
It'd take you forever.
Yeah, and it occurred to me, man, maybe I should try to find my phone. Well, my phone, I didn't know where it was because it was on the camera, but the last thing I remembered was when I reached to grab it and turn it off, the recording, I fainted. But I could have sworn I touched it. And I did. It fell on the ground, so I was kind of feeling around like this, and I felt my phone. And I called 911, and I had no reception out there. So all day I wasn't able to throw text to anybody. I couldn't talk to anybody. I just had SOS. So I hit 911, and unbeknownst to me, but thank God, an operator was able to receive the call. They use 911 has with cell phones, at least with iPhones, satellite. So
right.
Long story short, it took 32 people, search and rescue people, to come find me. They found me 2.5 hours later. I was, when they got me to the hospital, I was 93 degrees. I was in second stage hypothermia, and I had been through, I think it was 7.5 hours of the vertigo before it finally leveled off. And then I was in really bad shape leaving the hospital. Thank God for Steve. He was right there for me and got me back, and they went out and found my deer and everything. The next day,
Did they like have to? You were strapped to like a board.
oh
right?
man, yeah. I mean, that's the details, right? So I was strapped to the gurney, and they put me on top of
like a UTV. Or
UTV, and they had racks on it, and they put me up on top. These firemen, and there was like 2 or 3 on both sides of me, and I kept throwing up, and it would gurgle because I couldn't spit it out. So I would start choking on the throw up, and then they'd have to, and stop. They'd hit the thing, and the driver would stop. They would unstrap all these buckles, man, tons of them. They'd tip me over, 1, 2, 3, and then drain all the throw up out, and then they'd put me back. That happened, I don't know how many times on the way back.
Oh my God.
You start going through like different heat stages, like overheating to the nth degree. Like you feel like you're 200 degrees and you're gonna die because you're an inferno, and that happened. And I was like, get my clothes off, And so they were like worried because I was wearing all this really nice matching camouflage. I said, I don't give a damn.
Right.
Cut it off. And they took scissors and they cut my shit off. Then I was freezing. And I couldn't find a happy medium. And eventually we get to the hospital. My eyes are closed. I remember being pushed on the, whatever that thing that they push, they wheel you on.
Gurney stretcher.
Yeah. And I was out. And I woke up, I don't know how many hours later. At that time, we thought that maybe was a result of the percussion from the gun. Because I was in an enclosed blind, and I was also in a valley with 2, I don't know what they were, 600 to 800 foot like cliffs on both sides of me, steep ridges, but like literally cliff faces with stone. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe the reverberation, I don't know, something sound related, maybe that is what did it. You imagine like these little nerve endings inside of your ear, and when you get dizzy, think about like a yard full of tall grass. Mm-hmm. And when the wind blows, when your grass is too long, it all bends the same direction. But if one grass is going the other way for whatever reason, when it comes to your ears in those little nerve endings, that's what spins you. That's what the dizziness is. And it's only until that one grass blade flexes the same direction as the rest of them that you get right again. Dude, it is awful.
That's crazy.
That's what we chalked it up to be, that and dehydration.
Why the dehydration?
I don't know. We just didn't know because there's nobody in the world that knows why one person might get vertigo over the next. It's just, it's the greatest mystery.
Okay.
And So that's what we knew I was dehydrated. I had those energy drinks. I had 1 bottle of water. I had very little food, and I was out there all day, and I was going on very little sleep. I was able to drive a day and a half later, and I was walking fine. I had little bouts of vertigo. I was on medication, and I had to be careful. Going from, that situation, I invested into the best you can buy game ears, right? So they muffle percussion blast, but they intensify leaves crunching, walkers. I didn't want to be around gunfire at all because I didn't know if that would cause it to happen again.
Right.
The very next year, I was gun hunting in an enclosed blind with somebody. This is on film too, and I had my Walker game ears at my feet. Not sponsored by Walker game ears. Anybody's hating. Anyways, everything happened so lickety split fast. Remember the guy I was hunting with, Mike, said, "Big buck," and as soon as he did it, I was like, "Where?" "Oh yeah, I see it." Okay, stand up, turn the GoPro on, lean over, get my camera rolling. Okay, you're on the camera. You know how to do it? Yep. Okay, good. Pick up the rifle. I'm on it. Forgot all about my hearing protection.
Yeah, you're just going through your natural progressions there.
I shoot the deer, and it was 412 yards with a 30-06. The first shot, missed him. My MOE was off. I forgot what reticle to use. I remembered after that miss and lined it up perfect and made a kill shot, 412 yards, second shot. Pretty sweet. I was excited, but I leaned back in the chair and I started feeling like I was going to go have the spins again. And we were 17 feet high in a tower blind with a vertical ladder. And I'm a lot bigger than that guy I was hunting with, Mike. I don't know if he would have been able to get me down. And at that time, he was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you down. So I said, I'm going to climb down right now just in case it starts so I can at least be on the ground. He's like, that's fine. I can drive the truck right up to you and pick you up. Got on the ground, and I stood there for a while, and I just controlled my breathing, and it went away. Good to go. The next year, this past season, I still think that it has something to do with my hearing. I will not hunt without sharing my location. I've got a bunch of people on my iPhone who I share a location with, my number ones.
Right.
There's like 10 people now that know where I am at all times. I don't care if I'm not hunting. I need somebody to know where I am. Mm-hmm. And every time I do go hunting, I take screenshots now. I use Onyx to trace my location, track my location. I take screenshots and I send them to my fiance. And I usually send them to Steve Jeffrey, and I usually send them to Travis Kissel.
Yeah.
They never once complained to me. They're just glad that I'm taking precautions. I hear you. I hunt a lot. So you're going to get a lot of texts from me with weird screenshots of maps, right? But I need somebody to know right where the hell I am in case this ever happens again. And sure enough, this last season, I remember being at work all day, and if you watch this back, you'll notice I've been doing this a lot with my neck. I have horrible arthritis in my neck between the C3 and C5 vertebrae. I didn't know that. I just always thought, man, I must need new pillows. I sleep terrible.
Do you get like pinched nerves?
I must be. I don't know. We don't know yet. I don't know. I'll get to that.
Okay.
So I was at work complaining about neck pain and shoulder shrugging and all this, and get done. We started early. I was working at this company. We started early and got done early. So I was able to drive all the way home. It was about an hour drive home from the office. And then I was able to run in quick, change, and run out just to get in the stand in time to set my camera gear up and blah, 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 blah. There's one deer I was after. He was a really, really big deer. I figured him out. I think I was fairly certain I had pinpointed his bed. I knew he was coming to this little water hole to get water. And then he had been daily, but it turned into every 4 days. And we were on day 5 or day 6, and he hadn't showed back up to that water hole. And all I could think was, the more time that lapses between when I got my last picture and right now, the better the odds he's going to show up, because he's been on a regular pattern for weeks. Well, I was really glad to be there because he did exactly what I thought he did. He was coming right from where I thought he was bedded, and I got an eye on him. And as soon as I saw him, I knew it was him, and I was really excited. Like that feeling of putting the puzzle pieces together is, you know what it's like. Mm-hmm. And I got the camera trained on him. I'm self-filming, but it's just, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. And then I shoot him. Perfect heart shot. You couldn't make a better shot on a deer. And I knew he was going to go down. And I remember after I shot him, I listened. Yeah, I could tell he went about 40, 50 yards, and then he tipped over. I heard the leaves. I knew he was down. I turned that camera around, and I'm like, yes, I got him. And then my speech started like slurring, and I started getting confused what I was saying, and then it started. When that happened, if you watch the film back, it's called the Wide 10. You'll see it on YouTube. You can see me. You can hear me kind of getting frustrated, like, oh God, oh no. Like, here we go. And then I knew it again. I knew it. Yeah. This isn't going to be a quick one, because when it starts, you think the vertigo is going to start, and then you spin for a minute, and then it'll stop. This I could tell it was getting progressively worse every second, and I'm like, no. So I turned the camera off, and I immediately start unbuttoning, my safety strap, and now I've got to climb down. I was about 12 feet high, skinny tree. Every single peg on my double step, Novik stand, all my sticks were clawing at me because I was bear hugging this tree, sliding down. I couldn't find my pegs. And they were ripping my shirt. They were scratching my belly. It sucked. Got on the ground, and I tried walking towards the road. And I was doing this stumbling and grabbing onto trees. And freaking barbed wire underneath the leaves and branches and stuff, and I tripped over that son of a gun. I knew it was there. I just couldn't process it all fast enough.
Couldn't lift your leg up.
Yeah, it went down. And then, I don't want to like over dramatize it, but the truth is I had to crawl a long ways towards the sound of the road, because I knew that my car was somewhere over there, or at least I could be found over there. But where I was, it would have been a pain to find me. I got to the road, and I laid on my back, and I pulled out my phone out of my chest pocket, and I called Annalicia, my fiance, and I said, listen, hon, I'm going through another vertigo spell. I need you to come. I need you to come right now. And that girl was on it. I only hunt at this particular spot was like 5-6 minutes from home. She was there. It took her a while to find me, but I was like raising my hand, and eventually she saw me, and she's only 5 foot tall. She weighs 110 pounds.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand up on my own. She had to get me up. She is a fitness fanatic, so she's got some strength in her, but she's tiny, and it took everything for her to get me to the car. And when we got to it, I was sloppy like a drunk, falling on the hood and rolling my body around like along it to get to the door. Once I got in the car, I started having that heat go on, so I started like just tearing clothes off and stressing.
You felt like you were burning up again?
And she's like, do you want me to drive you to the hospital? I said, no, get me home. Let's get me in bed. Hospital costs a lot of money. It took me 2 years to pay that off. Actually, funny, I'll just drop this in here.
Sure.
That week, literally that same week, I had just made my last payment to pay off the whatever $8,000 on top of insurance that I owed for the last time it happened. I didn't want to go back. We get home within 45 minutes. It got worse and worse and worse. And I told her, I said, you need to call an ambulance right now. And she called, and they came, and all they want to do is ask if I'm on drugs, if I've been drinking. They put me in a sheet and carried me down because I couldn't sit up enough to get on a wheelchair. I just couldn't. I was throwing up everywhere. It was awful. I was in the hospital for 6 days. 100% dizzy. The vertigo left, but the dizzy stayed, and so did nystagmus in my eyes, which is where you're going like this.
Yeah.
And you just can't focus on anything. Nothing is standing still. Leaves fluttering in the wind will make you go blind. It's awful. Left there 6 days later with a walker. I went home, and for 3 weeks, I didn't return to the office. I stayed in bed, and I used the walker to get from the bed to the couch. I laid on that couch I felt very depressed. I didn't know if it would ever go away. I was 100% dizzy for 3.5 weeks. I was unable to walk without assistance. Every day we would go outside. It was really hard to get me down the stairs. Got hand railings, and she would help me, and Alicia would. And we would make our way down the driveway with the walker. And I was rehabilitating,
Right.
When you're not using your legs, dystrophy is fast.
Oh yeah.
And the strength of my legs is going. My legs were getting skinnier. I lost like 14 pounds in no time. I had no appetite. I was dizzy.
Right. Everything. You're just
Every
nauseous.
single nut, every branch, every pebble in our driveway would make that walker jump. And I could feel it through my bones into my head. And if it wasn't bad enough being dizzy, it was extended beyond comparison to really anything I've ever experienced before. The depression was really bad. I thought, I'm supposed to be getting married in September, which is, just a month away now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if I'd even be able to go to my own wedding. It's like my life is over. I can't be a dad anymore. I can't do anything. What's going to become of me? I'll never be able to hunt fish again. While I was in the hospital, they ran scans. They did 3 different scans, MRIs, and they were looking everywhere for anything. And they ended up saying, we think you have something called bow hunter syndrome. And it's when you have your neck turned for an elongated period of time. You're pinching one of the arteries that feeds your brain. And we think that's causing disruption of blood flow to the brain, and that's why you maybe got it. Well, this is just what he thinks. What he knew and what was very evident to everybody but me, because I couldn't see, was that I had that severe arthritis. So let's just cut to the chase. What I think is going on now that I've been living with this and I'm dealing with this chronic neck pain is compression of the cartilage, and when you're not sleeping well, the muscle tissue compressing against your spinal cord that is also disrupting blood flow to your brain. All of it is contributing to bad days where I have headaches, where I feel nauseous here and there, where you just are always like, am I getting sick? And so then you're better, and then you're not, and it's weird. And all of a sudden, like, I'll have a instance of vertigo that it kicks you right in the ass, and then it goes away, and you're like, whoa. And I was just telling your brother, my anxiety is through the roof. I never had anxiety before. I have severe anxiety now. I have PTSD like you wouldn't believe it. Admittedly, I'm afraid of hunting alone. Because I don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen again.
Right.
I don't know why. Both times it's happened in my whole life. I'm 42 years old. It's happened twice in the last 3 years, and it happened literally within 30 seconds of shooting a deer. Like, what the hell? So I feel like if I shoot another deer, I've shot several since then, and I shot several in between. But what is it about shooting a big buck? Is it an adrenaline dump?
Right. Is it something with your blood pressure changing?
A massive amount of your heart rate, massive blood pressure change, combined with not getting enough oxygen to the brain, starving for oxygen, spinal cord. Like, what the hell? But all I know has something to do with back here, and they do treatment and surgery to fix you up, but you're gonna be down for a few months, and the season's coming up, and I swear to God, I'm gonna go in there and do it. But I need to wait till after Christmas, and then I got a Nebraska hunt I got to go do in December, and then there's Christmas. But then after that, I'll maybe go in and start that treatment.
All right. So I have a slew of questions here. First off, that's crazy, and for there to be this bow hunter syndrome thing, that's just how random is that? Because that could be for anybody, right?
Yeah, and
it happens to be called bow hunter.
It's called bow hunter syndrome because of the target shooters, the competitive target shooters. That's where it first happened, because they stay in that position with that stress of holding back the poundage for that long. That actual target shooters were beginning to have vertigo spells while shooting.
Okay.
And that's where that comes from. I did all the research.
Wow. All right. So let's go back to that first incident there. And so are you saying that the vertigo that you experienced that first time there didn't have anything to do with the concussion of the shot?
I don't.
Are they still like? Are you uncertain? Are they like it could or couldn't?
So the bowhunter syndrome is odd to me, right? Because when I was shooting the gun, my neck was down to the right.
Yeah.
They're saying most of the blood flow to my brain comes from my left side. They said my artery on the left is significantly larger than the rest. Whatever. My head was down to the right shooting the gun. Mm-hmm. My head was to the left shooting the bow. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. And that's the scariest thing about it is you just don't freaking know. And I'll tell you, I was telling your brother this too. When I think about how it feels to spin out with vertigo to the severe levels that it happens to me, it is so bad that it almost induces another spell, because I think in such graphic detail about how it feels. So as I'm talking about it, I'm looking around the room at things and I start to convince myself that I'm about to spin out again. It's terrible.
You feel
PTSD.
okay right now?
Yeah, I feel fine. It's just that's what happens. And it's especially scary when I'm driving and all of a sudden I have like a flashback and I'm thinking about it and it's like, shit, I'm on the freeway or something, like it's really, really awful. We were just driving to Minnesota 2 weeks ago. We're having a great time. We were singing along, my fiance and I, just putting on tunes and stuff. And I looked down as I was driving and I just changed the song, and the song that we like came on, and as soon as I looked back up, I only looked down for a half a second, wide open freeway, looked back up and I spun and I'm like, oh shit. And I gripped the wheel, knuckles white, and I said, I'm having vertigo. And then all of a sudden it went away and I could see again, but panic button was already pressed in me. And now my breathing's heavy, it's fast. I start feeling like the sweat, like I'm wearing sandals. They're soaked, like I'm sweating. And she's all concerned. I'm agitated, very easily agitated. So I'm like, you got to turn the music off. And it's just okay. And then she starts like petting my arm. And I'm like, don't touch me. No, don't take it wrong, but don't touch me right now. And everything is bothering me right now. And I don't know how to fix that.
Right.
We pull over in a Quick Trip parking lot. I open the windows to get fresh air. And all I can smell is Quick Trip cooking, and it just made me want to throw up. And I'm like, oh. So I closed the windows again. And we just sat there in that parking lot for a while. And she goes, do you feel comfortable if I run in and use the restroom? We're in the middle of bum nowhere. And I was like, sure. And as she got out of the car, I remember being like, you know what? I'm going to come with you, because I didn't want to be left alone. It's very lonely feeling when you start spinning out. You feel like you're dying. You feel like you're having a stroke and you don't know what's going on. Even when you're aware of the condition, you still don't know what the hell how to process it. So we went in and I was feeling a little better just being on my feet and seeing people and reiterating to myself, I'm okay. But it's just really messed up, and that can happen to anybody. And so I guess the biggest takeaway from my personal story, and everybody's got a scary story, I'm sure at some point in their life they'll have one, but the biggest takeaway is the lesson here is take precautions of sharing your location. Do it with friends, do it with your loved ones, and make sure that I watch these videos of these guys in Alaska that go up by themselves up in the mountains. My ass would be dead, dude. If that happened to me out in those conditions, there's no coming back from that.
Right.
Can't walk out of there. You're handicapped to the point of you are incapacitated. That is really, really sad, and it's scary. My son, I always told him, when you're big enough, we're going to go elk hunting together. Now I don't think I can do that without an outfitter, and I'm going to need the best radio equipment, and I'm going to need a flight out of there if I need it by helicopter, whatever. Because there's no way that I can just take my son, and if that happens, what?
And then put him through that too.
Yeah, who takes care of him?
Traumatizing that would be for him to have to see you go through that.
So imagine your whole life you've dedicated to this passion of the outdoors, and you got these
share
dreams
with your
and you
kids.
finally have a son and a daughter, and you know your son's into it, and you want to raise him the way you were brought up and train his eyes to see the way you see and to have the same passion-fueled adventures that you've had all your life, and then now you're afraid of doing it. That's kind of what I'm battling with. It's no good. It sucks.
Yeah, I'm getting teared up right now. Like I'm so sorry that you're having to go through this. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I mean, we all have crosses to bear and things. God knows I have. I went over 10 years of dealing with extremely debilitating disease, and then coming out the other end and probably being even more healthy than I was back then. And I'm not trying to change. I'm just saying like this is hitting.
It's home.
You know, because I know what it's like. With a 7-year-old, and your kids are a little bit older, but they're coming of that age.
You just turned 8.
And this affects what you're passionate about, you know. But you're finding ways. You haven't just like, all right, there's no way I'm doing this again because I don't want to go through that. Like you're still, and I'm knowing you and even your fiance in that, like, because she's very, I would say like a naturalist in that, very, very healthy, very athletic in that. I'm sure you guys are doing all the things, all the research.
We're trying to do everything we can to make sure we stay ahead of it.
Right.
But the days of me going solo canoeing down a river to find some backdoor entry of some piece of public that doesn't get romped in another state, that's I don't get to do that anymore, you know?
Well, at least not right now, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
as long as I got somebody with me, I'm okay. A strong person.
yeah. I mean, I guess this is still so early on yet with you that, you know, learning.
It's so scary and so bad
Yeah.
that I haven't been able to be comfortable yet. It's
Sure.
really bad. After it happened the first time, I was like, well, that was a weird fluke. So since that Minnesota time, I've been like living normal and hunting the way I always hunt. And then when it happened last year, and then it pinned me down for the whole month.
So it wasn't like because of concussion or because when that came out, I'm like, man, I think we were talking on the phone last week or whatever. And I said, man, after that episode, like I went out and bought Axel earplugs, which are very similar to what they amplify
and muffle the percussion.
Right. At a certain decibel, it cuts out. You know, and I always grew up, you know, remembering like gun hunting, you never heard the shot, right? Because of your adrenaline. Yeah. There's something that goes on with your brain that like kind
turns
of
it off. You don't even feel the kick.
You don't feel the kick. You don't hear, you barely hear a bang. But also as an avid trap shooter and sporting clay shooter was like, man, I want, and now come to find out like that might not be a thing.
Might not even be it.
I think
it's still important to
I think
save
so.
your ears.
I think so. Absolutely too. But with that being said, I also have herniated disc in my C4, C5, and C6.
Oh,
so much so
right there.
I was hunting last year in Illinois. And I was we were with an outfitter as well. This was with one of my best friends, the late Jason Schrader, that just passed away earlier this year, co-founder of Midwest. And it was like we were on day 6 of 9 or something. And he was dealing with cancer and stuff, obviously, at the time. So he went to bed a little bit earlier, and I came in the room. And he would always wake up when I came in. Well, maybe stumbling in a little bit. But I'm pulling a sweatshirt over my head, and all of a sudden, everything like locks up. And then I can't even get the sweatshirt off. And I finally get it off, and I am just in so much pain through my neck, shooting down my shoulder. My whole arm is numb. Yeah. It's throbbing. And God bless Jason. He's like, yeah, well, how the hell do you think I feel right now?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the shower, take a hot shower, try to loosen these muscles up.
I walk that off.
Right. But I mean, but then for like months, I couldn't even put I wouldn't even be able to do this. I would have been sitting here like this.
I hurt myself like that too when I was weightlifting, pinched nerve, doing shoulder shrugs, and I was down for the count for like a month.
Started making a whole bunch of my own home concoction juices, anti-inflammatory stuff.
Yep.
By the time I finally got in to go see physical therapy and pain management, where they're going to give me a cortisone shot, I'm like, no, I fixed myself already. I'm like, I'll go to a couple of physical therapy things to work on some exercises to help strengthen the muscles around the spine. But, yeah, I mean,
they say,
it freaks me. It freaks me out, but that's not why I feel the way I feel. I feel bad for the situation that you're in because like, it just sucks. Like you're a young man yet. We're all young. Maybe not to some of you guys out there, but we're still young men and we still have a lot of go in us, and really to all of a sudden be knocked down in a way, not knocked down, but like pushed back,
debilitated.
Right.
Whenever I hear somebody say, I want to die doing the things that I love the most, I was one of those people that believed that. And some people that maybe had a quick vertigo spell might not understand just how severe mine was. But let me tell you, both times I thought I was dying. I said my goodbyes the first time over the phone with the operator. I have that call, that whole
it's on that episode,
45-minute 911 call. Yeah, I mean, I have the whole thing.
Sure.
And it's something I don't like listening back to because the stuff I say, that's real sad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in that first time that it happened that I realized that that's not how I want to die.
Yeah.
At all. If I die, I want to be died surrounded by the people that I love, not the things that I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds tough and it sounds cool and it sounds like enthralling.
Right.
I'm prepared to die. This big grizzly bear is coming at me and I'm going to the hunt. This isn't war. This is hunting.
Right.
It's amazing. But somebody out there loves you and is going to not enjoy life as much when you're gone. And if you're so stuck in thinking that all that matters is you in that moment and that, being in that place hunting, that's the way that you're going to go out, that's selfish.
Right.
There's no way that I can ever change my mind about that. And whatever, it's subjective, but that's my opinion.
No, and
I'll never again say something like, if I die, I want to die doing something. No, I want to die with somebody I love. I want my kids there or, my wife next to me or somebody that loves me that can see me out.
I think we hear it more often than not. We hear it, when somebody does die in a situation like that. Oh, they died doing the thing they loved. Yeah, no, I think they probably would much rather be alive. I mean, no, I'm not saying that like we're not going to get into that whole thing or whatever, but I think that if they had the choice, they would have liked to, at least be surrounded by their loved ones and been able to say goodbye, things of that nature.
Hunting is personal. I mean, right. you go hunting alone. We go hunting with Chase Nation with each other because we're filming. Mm-hmm. That's not the way that most people hunt. Most people hunt by themselves. It is very personal, and you're alone. I don't think that anybody, and I don't know, but I don't believe that anybody that's ever died out hunting was falling or suffering, thinking, I'm glad I'm here dying right now by myself where nobody can find me away from the people that love me the most and that I love the most. That's
a family member or one of my hunting buddies is going to eventually be the ones that going to have to find me out here, that's crazy. All right.
Switch gears.
No, and I really, really, truly appreciate your story because I think there's some lessons to be learned in there. One of which is never take your health for granted. Nope. And I can speak, and all three of us can speak on this. Drew, you've dealt
been
with plenty
through
of
it
your
too.
stuff too. And don't worry about that number. Like that doesn't matter, Drew. That too, like that won't affect. We won't get cut off. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that before. But anyways, but all right, let's shift gears to what else? What's going on with Chase Nation? Like, what do you guys?
Yeah.
I know you've been pumping out the videos
Content.
and that. Anything you can share as far as what's on the horizon? You want to speak on any cool things, cool hunts from the last year or so, or
Yeah.
some particular videos, maybe some, you really want people to check out?
Yeah, we've put out some of the best content that we managed to capture as far as big buck content. We were talking about YouTube, what people want to click on. We put that out there. We got one more big buck coming. We got this kid named Ethan McPherson. He is the nephew of Matt McPherson from Matthews Bows. And he's local by me. He's been a fan of our show for a while. And I was sitting at a restaurant in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, with my fiance. We were having a date night. And this kid leans back and taps me on the shoulder. He's sitting at a table with his family, and he goes, "Are you Sam Ubl?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Chase Nation, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, I love your show. I go to school at Arrowhead High School. I know Dave Bechtel. Dave filmed with us for many years."
Yeah.
I go, "No kidding. That's just wild." So long story short, every now and again he'd chat me on Instagram, like in my DMs or whatever, and asking questions like about filming and editing and that kind of thing. And I was thinking, man, we're getting older. And the pressure to, as we talked about, to create the right kind of content to attract an audience is enormous now because we have so much competition. What makes you want to watch Chase Nation? I mean, I can talk all day about our quality, our storytelling, right? Cinematic experience.
Which is very, very way up there.
Thanks.
It's really good. It's
But-
really good, Clark.
There's a ton of shows out there, and some of them have really great quality too. And why pick Chase Nation over somebody else? And so, the answer is not really available. It's not obvious because we haven't been able to figure it out. It's like we grew really fast, and now it's a slow, steady. It's steady, but it's slow climb. We're not to that point where we've gone and topped the top of the hill, and now we're just sliding down. And it's like now, how money, when you have a lot of money, you can make money with money. It's kind of like that with people with a large following. You have a big audience. That audience is going to do the work now to advertise your content and get you more followers. So you have more of an audience watching.
Sure.
Why does that matter? Well, it matters a little bit only because, we spend so many hours. I don't care about the money. I'll film regardless of having a show, and I want it to be quality because I like to watch it. But when we spend so many hours to put something out there, it's like blood, sweat, and tears. I'd like it to be seen so our message gets across. I want the hunters to watch it, and I want the hunters' wives to watch it, and I want their mother-in-law to watch it. And she doesn't like hunting, but she can watch that because it's good enough, and it's not, trophy hunters that are just about killing and, bragging. It's like the whole story, the process,
Mm-hmm.
This kid, Ethan, was asking me all the right kinds of questions about how to film and edit, and all I could think was, not only does he seem to have it, or at least he's got the passion there, but he's got youth on his side. And we are missing an enormous target audience because we've outgrown it.
Yeah.
I'm 42, and everybody on the team is in their late 30s or early 40s. We've got guys in the mid 40s and upper 40s. We don't have anybody in their teens and 20s. So I said, Ethan, as long as your mom and dad sign off on it, I'm going to extend an opportunity for you to come mentor with us call it
like an internship.
A non-paid intern when none of us are paid.
Yeah.
So, hey man, I can't pay you because we don't get
Once
paid.
you get through your internship, it'll just be same thing.
Yeah, you really got to love doing this stuff, and that's just what it is.
Yeah,
and that's why that's another story. But Ethan was ecstatic, and he joined us this will be his trial year. He came in swinging. He brought to the table a black bear hunt in Ontario. He also brought it's like a Texas. It's not a mule deer. It's a whitetail. I haven't even edited it yet. I've got to edit this hunt yet. This is one of those ones that's in the next 5 weeks. It's going to be out. Right
now, are you going to take him under your wing and show him the editing process and that too?
So
it sounds like he has a passion for that too, or maybe not a passion, but wants to learn that.
Exactly who I need. Right.
Sure.
He has his own YouTube channel. Nice. He's got a little bit of editing. I've got years of making mistakes and learning from them. He's got none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, bring him. He lives within 10 minutes of me.
Nice.
Come over. Let's edit together. Let's go film together. Now he's going to be listening to this and saying, well, we still haven't got a chance to film together. Well, we've been trying. It's not that easy because we're all juggling kids and stuff because we're old guys, but we are going to bring him under our wing and mentor him, teach him what we do. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping he can, and what he's been really good at is, I'll wake up to so many texts. Luckily for him, I'm up late most of the time anyways, editing. So I'm fielding his texts at midnight. He's off school and he's a teenager,
Yeah.
So he's just like, I don't know what time. I don't care what time it is. Here's my ideas. Pop, 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 pop. Me and like the rest of the guys our age, we write text messages this long. All our thoughts, one message. Here you go, buddy. Read it when you have time. He's like, 12
separate messages, right?
Yeah.
We got a couple buddies like that too.
And it's all good, dude. That's what people their age do. And that's cool because all that really matters is that he's sharing these ideas. Mm-hmm. He is so hyped up and like energetic, and he resurrects that from me, what I had, that burning like passion, early on to like, okay, stay up extra late. You made a film, you put 20 hours into this edit for a 12-minute episode. Let's put 3 more hours into a 30-second reel. Back then it was, let's go. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh man, I'm old. I got to go to sleep.
But
he texts me that stuff and I'm like, all right, you think it's going to help? All right, let's do it. And I'll send it to him like, here you go, buddy. I'm going to bed. Dude, this is fire, but I think you should do this a little bit more, cut this out and do this because, for people my age demographic, like they're going to eat that up. But if you do that, they're not going to watch the film because it tells too much of the story. Why watch the whole video when you just showed the whole thing in 30 seconds? Cut this. And I'm like, God damn. That's why we need a 17-year-old on the team because that's the kind of thinking that I'm not doing, and being an OG in this game, like it's that way with thumbnails. Zach Farrenbow from The Hunting Public and we were on the phone once when I was in the hospital with my ex-wife who was going through breast cancer at the time, and I had a lot of time to kill because I spent a lot of time at that hospital. And I was on the phone with them, and I was just kind of spitball because we were trying to arrange for them to come muskie fishing with me. Back then, they used to do in the summertime fishing episodes. And for 3 years, we were planning to go to my cabin up north, and it's just every time something got in the way on my side, not theirs. They were always like, yeah, we're ready. And then I'm like, guys, I got to cancel. But in the midst of all those conversations we were having, I was like, dude, I don't understand. We are pumping out content that's good, quality content, big bucks. What else do we need? So he's like, thumbnails, titles. I look at my thumbnails, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not using pop out like thumbnails. I'm not leading anybody into the temptation of pressing the button. I'm literally picking the sexiest photo I can, and I'm using this fancy font, and I'm making it as artistic as I can. Guess what? Not many people give a damn about that. What they do give a damn about is some colors that are ugly, greens, reds, anything that like pops, yellows, blues. Use those colors in your thumbnails and people want to click on them. I hate those colors in a thumbnail. So I
I
can't.
think I put together some pretty fire. I mean, as a 48-year-old, I think my thumbnails have been pretty fire over the years, especially the
What
stuff
you and
I'm
I
doing.
think are sexy aren't
I know.
clickbaity enough. You gotta like trace the antlers with some white line to make it pop out.
I'll do that though. I do that though.
And then you gotta like get another photo of a guy like drawing his bow, totally separate from the actual deer. Might not even be the same guy, but let's put it in there.
Maybe I am on the right page.
So we got to do all these things, and then we got to put the text in there that says, "You wouldn't believe what happened."
Right.
And then you watch the whole video just waiting on the edge of your seat.
And the
Popcorn. What's gonna happen? And then at the end of the video, you're like, whoa!
Wait,
I gotta
this thing.
Let me rewatch that, and they get 2 views now out of you because you've got to watch the second time to figure out what you missed. And it's just because they clickbaited you a little bit. And
big time.
I'm like, son of a gun, I don't have it in me to do that to anybody, and I really take a lot of time making the art.
Right.
And I don't want to make it fake and look like a cartoon.
Dude, there's so much of that crap out there. I mean, there's some of this stuff or whatever where you're sitting there invested 30 minutes into something. Like, did you ever see, Drew, I know you can relate to this and that because
We call it the rabbit hole.
right, in that. And there's like literally nothing ends up happening. You know, it'll be, and I can't even think, Rick Lab or Rick.
Yeah.
Like he's got these videos and stuff out there, and they're like, and it's like with him and his girlfriend or fiance or wife, and maybe some other girls and another guy, and they're doing something, and it's like this build up, and that, and you're like, all right, so when is the thing gonna happen?
Yeah,
and it never happens, and then I'm like, that is such terrible. Like, it makes me mad.
Yeah.
It makes me absolutely mad when there's
Scott,
stuff like that. But
it's like this, man. You go to a company that has a culture or a team. You join a sports team that has a culture about them, and they're all part of the same culture. But you don't fit in quite the same, right? They're all like fly by the seat of their pants, and you're very calculated. Hey, man, sorry, we got to let you go. You don't really fit our culture. It's like that with YouTube. If you want to be successful in YouTube, you got to understand some things. And one of them is you got to make some loud ass looking thumbnails, and you got to use some clickbaity titles, period. Yeah. That's really important because like I was saying at the beginning of this whole thing, the way YouTube does it, they send your video to the news feed as a recommended watch to a small select sample set of a bunch of different varieties of demographic. And they use that to build their data around who's clicking on it and who's not. Okay. Mostly men, less women. Let's concentrate their content towards men. Is it outdoor related? What do those thumbnails look like? If you can just start to make thumbnails that are ugly, you might get more excitement and energy around your content.
But based on what you're saying, mine might already be ugly. So
mine, I think, are beautiful.
They are.
I'm really proud of them, and people freaking don't click on them all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I talk about this all the time. I'm like, has anybody got just take a picture of your buck, make it look really big, make it look stupid big, use your GoPro for the photo, really blow it up. And
that's what I'm doing next year.
Let's trace this thing in white. Let's use blue and yellow font. We'll make it really ugly. What's the loudest, ugliest font we can? And what is some clickbaity thing we can write in 2 or 3 words that'll make people be like, I got to click that. Yeah. Dude, that's the nature of the beast. And I am OG and don't want to enter that. I don't want to succumb. I don't want to sell out.
It's different too, like for a podcast or something like that versus what you're doing in that. Why would you stoop to that? Not maybe stoop to the level, but why would you want to change your artistic vision of what you've done with this entire video of like making it extremely beautiful and that,
and then put a cartoon thumbnail
to make it like super like AI cheesy or like, pop off graphics for what you're doing, and that only to have now this gorgeous footage.
Yeah,
that's beautifully
needs to be complemented by
great
a matching
music,
thumbnail,
sound,
some of the best B-roll you will ever see.
Yeah.
You should see that leaf floating down.
Yeah, exactly. But we got to have
water
neon
droplet
and all this other crap just for the thumbnail.
Can I just? I just want to interject here real quick because you brought up something that really kind of struck me, and you asked what makes people watch Chase Nation, right? There's no metric that you can really track that's going to answer that, but just speaking from personal experience, and I think a lot of us, you guys are you're real. You're real. Like the Sam that we're getting here right now is the Sam in the videos. It's the Sam at a trade show. And then we've kind of forged relationships with you guys very haphazardly, like Tallahassee, as he's so adoringly referred to on
That's what
the
we
show.
call Brad.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah,
we just
that's
call
his
him
new
Tall-
nickname now. It's just Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. And it's a reference to Zombieland.
Oh,
Woody Harrelson character.
I thought maybe he picked
that.
up horses from there or something, because he does that. I don't know if he still does it.
And quite honestly, that was his doing there.
That's funny.
Sorry about that.
Anyways, but as you were.
But yeah, and I think that to me makes me personally want to watch the content.
Yeah,
right.
I
I mean,
appreciate it.
never mind the fact of how good the content is. But like when the first time, meeting Star and meeting Jeffrey and meeting Werwinski and yourself, and like these guys they're not any different than me. They just know how to hunt
I don't know. We're not
pretty damn well.
We don't ever say that we're great hunters. We just like to capture what we're doing.
But that's the thing. How you guys capture it, the editing that goes into it, the videography is beautiful. It's stunning. And I'm telling you folks right now, if you haven't checked out any of their stuff, please do, because you're not going to be disappointed. I promise you that. It's beautiful.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to his point too, who you've surrounded yourself with with Chase Nation. I mean, everybody's super likable. We've had Steve, we've had Eric on the show, we've had Mike Hackett on the show, we've had Matt Hazel on the show.
Jeez,
we've
you
done
got half the
things with-
team.
I mean, when we were doing the Deer Fest thing,
yeah.
I mean, we were able to bring in, I think we had Steve, Brad, Travis, and then another one we had Cody.
You just need to get Joe Braun on here now.
Honestly, I think one of the only ones we haven't.
He'll be a big draw because he's
I mean, Mike Hackett, having him come on in that when him and Matt came here, that was a lot of fun.
That was
And like his
that was a
truck
great
broke
time.
down, was basically breaking down the whole
Mike's or Matt's.
Mike's.
Mike's. Oh, that's
Yeah, he had to drive it in limp mode to
get here.
Yeah,
Was it cold out and he had diesel or something? Was he gumming up?
yeah,
it was.
I think it was. I mean,
it was probably
cold
gummed
out,
up and that sucks.
but-
I've been there.
Yeah, it was like
But dedicated, like you read about, the guy just pushed through and made it to.
he wasn't like calling to say I'm not coming. He's like, oh, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Mike Hackett is the one of the guys that can keep his cool, surrounded by what the rest of us think are great bucks and would shoot, and not pull the trigger and be okay waiting. And then when the really big one shows up, where the rest of us would be like, I don't know, just point the camera. I got to shoot this thing the first second I get. He's actually like on it with the camera, gives you some time to digest it, and he feels confident that he's gonna, if he waits long enough, get his shot off, and he always does.
Which is crazy. It's crazy to really, like, if you've never filmed your own hunt or even had somebody filming with you. I've screwed up turkey hunting videos,
Yes,
which are
you
like
have.
the easiest ones ever, right? Because
you
you're
have.
in a blind. But it happens so quick, and you're like, oh, screw the footage. I just want this. I want this beautiful tom.
Someday we'll do this again, podcast, and talk about some of the side effects of filming, the negative stuff, because I think that's really important to talk about. We don't have time in this one because it's a whole nother journey.
That's an episode.
But I'll tell you just real quick that it is really, really hard to shoot a deer while you're self-filming and shoot it well because you're rushing. And I've been doing it for long enough to say that and not care if anybody disagrees, because if you disagree, then you haven't done it. If you've done it and you were successful, great. I've been successful too, but I've done it a lot, and I've also been unsuccessful. You got like your camera moved, You know that deer is going to go in there, and you got to shoot it while he walks into your frame. And if you don't make that shot happen there, it's going to be off frame. And then everybody's going to be complaining that you didn't get the shot on film, and it's going to wreck the whole video.
Not everybody, just people that have never even tried to self-film.
Yeah, it's
before.
like, man, you did the best you could. Oh, man, I can go on and on about that. But that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And that's a negative part of it. And that's something that we as filmers think about when we consider, is this something we want to keep doing? And because when you screw up, it's not like we go home and we're like, no big deal, another big one tomorrow. No, man, that's a whole season buildup of that moment coming into play, and you ruined it because you were focused on filming it. That really hurts. I've lost a lot of guys on the team because of that.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I've done it myself. I mean, I was doing self-filming for not a long time, but for several seasons, very religiously. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not Midwest. We're not producing a show. Like if I'm filming this stuff, like I'm going to maybe edit together, little clips or whatever, but I'm not going to produce a show.
Yeah. Full-fledged episode.
Like what you guys are doing. And then it got to the point where I'm like, this shit is pissing me off. Like, quite frankly, like I'm hating the extra time it's taking me to set everything up.
Noise, fingers getting cold.
The extra, all these different things.
Then you get your camera on the arm and the arm slips and you're like, son of
the extra movement, like the risk that you are taking by self-filming. It's all about movement in trees, right? Like it's not necessarily about camouflage. It's about like keeping your movements to a minimum. And now, not only are you having to draw a bow or pull up a gun or a crossbow, whatever weapon you're doing, now you're moving a camera.
Yeah.
In that. And sure, you expected to, let's say you're expecting the deer to come in here. And now, wait, no, it's over here. Now you're trying to swing this all the way around. Get that deer in frame. You're looking at here. You're looking like the chances of you screwing up the shot now, if you're that obsessed with getting that in frame, it's unparalleled.
Oh yeah, it's just the nature of the beast, and there's a lot more to it. Like I said, we could go down a deep rabbit hole on this topic alone, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. Mm-hmm. Where the whole podcast is focused on self-filming. There's a ton of interest around it. I get messages all the time, and I mean all the time, literally weekly from people, questions. And I do my best to answer them. But the honest truth is, like, a lot of the answers people aren't going to like because they're just trying to get into it. And I'm like, just so you know, so if you get into it, this is a reality.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you're not trying to deter. It's just being truthful.
No, I never want to deter somebody.
You're not like he's not trying to deter anybody from doing it because I don't want any competition.
Yeah, don't go self-filming because you're going to screw up now.
You're going to be better than me, but no.
Do it.
It's
just know you're going to screw up.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and it's a story to tell and whatever. And yeah, I mean, we can all say all of us that do this a lot can say we'd have twice as many deer on the wall. And that's absolutely accurate. Biggest bucks I've ever encountered, it seems like it's always the fault of trying to manage camera and bow.
Yeah. And you have to make that decision in that moment. Like, am I going to shoot maybe potentially the biggest buck I've ever killed, or am I not because I don't have it in frame? Like, and I'm sorry, like in my world, like screw it being in frame, I'm hoping for my best, but I'm not.
Man,
But I have done that though. I've screwed up in those years. And that's kind of when I got to that point where we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Where it's like, do you ever just miss like just being
big
a
time.
Hunter and just like
I miss
doing
not
it
using
for
trail
yourself.
cameras too.
Yeah.
I miss all that. I miss the way I grew up doing it from the ground. Mm-hmm. Just when I was telling you about how my dad taught me to move the leaves away and then make a trail on either direction that I thought I would need to navigate if like I'm in row of pines, right?
Yeah.
And I move all the pine needles and whatever leaves that have blown in there away from the base of the tree I'm sitting against or standing against. I would make a lane on that soft soil in the pines so that I could walk along the trail with my bow ready to draw as a deer might be crossing. So that's just because you're not going to make every shot count from one stationary position when you're on the ground,
Right.
For a number of reasons. And as I was thinking through that, I was thinking about all just like a flash flood memory of bucks that I've taken and missed or wounded as a result of the situation that I was in. And that was before I was filming. And it's, man, yeah, I miss that a lot. I miss a lot of I miss sitting on a branch and my ass falling asleep because I didn't have a tree stand, crawling up 6 feet and thinking I'm 12 feet because holy cow, you wouldn't believe how much effort it went to get up in that tree on public land without a tree stand. And here I am. But I got to sit here for 3 or 4 hours before it gets dark. What was I thinking? Well, it's too late now. I got to stick it out. It'd be a long walk back to the car. Legs are tired. That sucked, but at least I was elevated. Those memories come back, and I miss the way that I used to be a lot. Yeah. I honestly, and maybe this is a good way to end it, but I think that if I could do it all over again, if I could go back in time and be that little kid that wanted to grow up and be a pro hunter, pro fisherman, and have my own show, I've achieved those things. But with everything that I've achieved, I've lost so much. I'll never know if my first marriage was really the result, the ending of it being the result of what I invested so much into my pursuit of the outdoors and making it as a producer. I'll never know. But I do know that I only get to see my kids 50% of the time. There's more than I can say in short order that I wish I could do differently if I started over, and if I could trade where I am today with the original me that didn't have a platform and didn't have like a public profile now where I don't hardly put pictures of my kids or my life on social media anymore, because the second I put a picture of my fiance up, she gets 50 freaking DMs and friend requests from people that I don't even know.
Right, like just creepers.
But that's not even it. It's just that for sure. But that's not even the main reason. It's like I lost the ability to just live an ordinary life where I don't have to represent a brand. I don't have to represent a personality. I can just be me and not give a damn. I miss that.
Right, because you're not just hunting. You're not just fishing.
No.
There is a Sam that lives outside of that,
Yeah.
that has other interests and things and a personal life and that, as we all do, right? Like, just because we're putting ourselves out here in the outdoor world, in the world of being always outdoors, TM, no, I'm just kidding. We have other interests. We have things that we care about, and that might not always align with people that follow us or people that follow you.
Yeah.
And you feel guarded with those things because, that doesn't maybe necessarily align with the traditional hunting industry, outdoor community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I think we're talking about the same thing here, right?
You wouldn't believe how many people I've never met in my life that have very strong opinions on me that they project to others. Like I always try to treat people fairly. I've always been kind. I don't remember a time. I don't get drunk. I don't get pissed drunk. I remember everything. And I don't remember a time where I treated somebody so badly that they would have a reason to talk negatively about me. Yet I keep hearing, and I've been hearing, since I've been in any kind of spotlight or led a brand like Chase Nation. People run into somebody who's like, that guy's an asshole, or like, God, he's a jerk. I've never met this human in my life. Where in the world did you experience the asshole in me or a jerk in me? You've never met me. I've just heard about it recently. Joe Braun was telling me about a guy like that. He ran into at a bar that's a big hunter, and he has a massive opinion upon me and my personality, but he's never once met me, ever. And it is a lie anytime you hear somebody that has any sort of micro-influencing, like public figure behind their name, when they say you just got to have a thick skin, because I say it too, is a lie that we don't have, or that we have thick skins, because we can project that all we want, but the reality is, when we're by ourselves or when I'm driving home after hearing somebody said that about me, I might project like, whatever, no big deal. But as I'm by myself, I'm sitting here like, when did that? And it eats at you, and it doesn't go away. And I don't. It bothers me because I'm a regular dude. I just love filming. I love hunting, and I love to create. Mm-hmm. And that's all there is to it. That doesn't make me an asshole. It doesn't make me a jerk. And it doesn't make me unsusceptible to feelings like, man, I'm not trying to be a wimp.
I mean, and like, who knows? You could be working a trade show, right? And maybe this guy was kind of standing around, maybe wanted to talk to you.
That's happened.
But you're busy talking with somebody else.
I had a bunch of people say that. Like, I tried talking to him, and he ignored me, and he disregarded me, and I never have done that on purpose.
They expect, like when you're doing something like that, I think people expect you to like just be 100%. Like, doesn't matter that it's now been day 3 and you traveled how many hours and been up late at night and doing this all day long, that you're supposed to be on your A game and be like, Mr. Rogers out there with every single person that comes by, or even just missing people that
I miss people a lot, right? Because I'm in a conversation and somebody else bumps me, or and I'm not so popular that I'm constantly like, there's a ton of downtime, but there's a lot of that happens, and a lot of people, I've unfortunately heard a lot of stories about so and so thinks you're a real jerk because you ignored them at a show. I've heard that so many times, and I've never once purposefully ever disregarded somebody. It is always because there's so much going on, and if I could have it that moment back, I'd love to meet the person and hear them and hear what they have to say, or answer what they want to know an answer to, that I can give them some sort of answer to. So it's just the reality of it. But that is the truth. That I think that if I could go back in time, would I want to be doing podcasts? Would I want to be always out in front of everybody and unable to just live the way that majority get to live, where people don't pay as close to it of attention to every little detail of everything you do? I would probably do that. But I'm where I am now, and I want to use what little platform I have as a very micro influencer as a way to try to enforce good and positivity, and try to share as much knowledge as that I've gained through experience in a lot of errors.
Sure. Right.
Because that's where I'm at today.
Well, I appreciate you, Sam, and I have for many years. I mean, you've been accommodating with us. Coming on the show very early on. At a time where we were. I mean, and we're still like it's a slow growth process in that, and I've really adapted, and I every time I say this, like passion project.
Yep.
I always bring up your name in that because you use that so much with Chase Nation, but that's very much what this is for us too. I enjoy talking hunting in the outdoors, fishing, all these different things. I never proclaim to be an expert in anything. I just like to talk this stuff, and I like talking to people who know maybe more than I know, and we get to share these stories with an audience, and that's just who we are. And I appreciate you always being, a supporter I feel like we've always been a big supporter of you guys as well.
Big time.
Too.
Yeah.
Sharing as much as we can and just, always bringing guys on. Like I said, we pretty much,
I appreciate you.
We got to
man.
get a
Big
few
time.
more on here yet, and we'll definitely have to make that happen. But
Well, I look forward to being back with you with Dan Infault.
yes,
Dan Infault and I go way back. It's crazy.
all the way back to Blood Brothers days, right?
Yeah, some of those conversations that we had back from Blood Brothers to when he started the Hunting Beast and all that.
Yeah.
We've always had. I've had a fondness for Dan and an immense respect for him, even when we'd banter. Although, like I told you on the phone, an argument with Dan is not a two-sided argument. It's a one-sided, and it's usually the other guy doing the arguing and Dan taking his time to think through what you're saying and give you a logical response back. In my younger years, Dan handled my flavor for argument really well because I thought I knew best for a lot of things, and he always was patient and answered me like matter-of-factly with science to back it up. Yeah. And I've always been one that says, the greatest, like the only thing that's truth is what science can prove. And he's always had that, so like, man, I could go deep into the weeds on that too. Those conversations we've had about sanctuaries and the elevator effect of scent, there's conversations that I still think about today when I go hunting, and he really helps shape a lot of my mentality when I'm actually approaching the woods. So
Dan speaks his truth. He speaks his truth on his experience.
That's all it is.
And he doesn't try to go outside of his experience level. Like everything that he talks about is just his years of experience.
He doesn't really care if you agree with him or not.
No, right.
This is just
his truth.
This is what I know. This is my truth.
Right.
But this is what I've observed, and man, it's gold. So I'm looking forward to that show. I'm glad to be back.
I always share with you guys when every week doing Dan's show on Tuesdays, the Hunting Beast Report. So Sam, if you guys enjoyed this tonight, and most of you have been following along with this, so we've been doing the top 5. We've done it with a slew of different hunters here, from Aaron Warburton to Jared Scheffler, Andy May, James Squire. I'm missing a whole bunch of other people we've had on recently, and we're going to do this again here in not this coming Tuesday. We have Garrett Prawl coming on, but the Tuesday after Dan and I come back from Massachusetts from Huntstock, we're going to be on very little sleep, so bear with us on that one.
Oh, dude, I'll do all the talking. I got stories to tell.
All right, I'll just be doing a lot of as I often do, but we'll have Sam on that episode.
I already know what 5 I'm going to talk about.
Awesome.
I've been thinking about it. I've been going through every single deer I've ever killed, buck, and I'm like, man, I love all these stories. So I got some good ones.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this is, so these aren't necessarily top 5, like they're best bucks.
Yeah, they're not my biggest. They're just really good stories.
The stories that goes behind it, the strategies, the tactics used, the reason why, maybe he hunted that way and that. But it's going to be a really cool episode. So keep an eye out for the link for that one coming up here in just over a week from now. So Sam, again, thanks for taking the time with us tonight. Can't wait to talk to you again in about a week.
Yeah.
For everybody else, stay tuned. We're not going to have a show this coming Thursday. Dan and I will already be out at the film festival in Massachusetts for Huntstock. But hopefully we'll be back with another new episode the week after that. So until next time, guys,
Always outdoors.